Hey, welcome to another episode of Music Tips and Reviews with JG. Appreciate y'all for watching. I don't know if it's true, but I heard some news about Irv Gotti. Prayers go out to his family. I don't want to put out, false news, but I heard, things about Irv Gotti. So, prayers go out to his family. Even though we've heard some things about, him and his, his last, the last part of, these few years, still condolences to his family, about, the news I heard about him. But again, appreciate y'all for being in here. And so, this was very eye-opening. This documentary, caught it on Max, saw it on Max, just saw the last episode tonight. And so, I wanted to, have it fresh in my head. So I said, let me go ahead and do this live. Again, appreciate y'all for watching. Those who, watch this later on and who are watching it live right now. Again, appreciate y'all for being in here. But this documentary was an eye-opener. A lot of things we, media joked about, on live and stuff like that. It's really not a laughing matter. These things that happen, as far as, Diddy, as far as the things he allegedly did, in the past. And, sometimes karma comes, the Bible says how, you gain the whole world and lose your soul, and, things like that. And, it was a lot of things I knew, watching the documentary, and it's a lot of things I didn't know in detail. And, when I heard the details about what he did, how he treated people, it was very, very disturbing. The things he did, the things that he did that affected other people. I even watched Day 26. They did an interview with Vlad. I saw parts of that interview, and it was very eye-opening. How Diddy was, behind closed doors. We all looked up to Diddy at one point in time, especially us men. We saw a very influential person, influential, person in public. And we looked up to them, as I wouldn't say idol, but we aspired to be like this person. But behind closed doors, he was something else. And, it really makes you think, things you see on TV, that appears to be a certain way. It's not really that way, behind closed doors. People was really mentally affected by the things that he did, allegedly, but I wouldn't say allegedly, because it was so deep in detail about the things he did, in this documentary, that I wouldn't say allegedly in a lot of these cases, because a lot of these cases, these people are saying in detail over and over again what happened, and they say the same thing. I was watching the part about, and I don't mean to skip through this review, but the woman that got shot in the club in 1999, she said the same story on this documentary, word by word. She said the same details. And so, people say allegedly, but a lot of things, it seems like it lines up a lot, from, it even started from, when he was in Howard University. He had these anger issues towards women, ladies, that he dealt with all the way back to Howard. He seemed like in front of everybody else in public, that he was the man. He was that guy. He put parties together. He put certain things together, but behind closed doors, he was a different person. Totally different person, and that's what a lot of people said. In this documentary, and also interviews I've seen on YouTube. Like I said, I saw day 26. They talked about how he was. He had mood swings, and a lot of things that he did to them affected them, later on. I don't want to get deep into that interview, but first of all, this is a spoiler alert. This is a spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen the documentary, I urge you to watch the documentary first. But if you don't mind listening to what I got to say about the movie, feel free to listen. But this is a spoiler alert to a lot of information that happened in the documentary. Of course, this is sensitive. This is a sensitive discussion about what happened in the documentary. And so again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. And so it started with so I brought this up here so I can keep track of I don't want to get out of order about what happened in the documentary. But the first episode, making of a mogul, went back to his past, the things he dealt with as a young boy, the things he dealt with, his mom, his mom really was on him when he was young. A lot of kids picked on him when he was young, and he had to learn how to fight back. I think that's how he kind of gained tough skin, later on, because, he didn't really, later on, he really didn't want people to tell him what to do. Even when he was older, he felt like he can rule everybody, he can rule everything. And so, making of a mogul, he was talking about, the beginnings, him working at Uptown, him, merging to be this superstar, also going into the Vibe, the lady from Vibe. She was a huge person at Vibe, how, he threatened her life. She said she was so afraid of, what Diddy would do, throughout this documentary. They talk about how afraid they were, during these ordeals with Diddy. A lot of things, it was a childhood friend. He was talking about Diddy when he was young, how he had the freshest clothes. He dressed like he was older even when he was young. Had a different mind, a different mindset when he was young. But it's like he had a good side, and the way he influenced hip hop and stuff like that. He had a good side, but it was a totally, it's two extremes. He was in two extremes in his life. He was in two extremes. It's crazy how, one point, event in his life, he's very, extremely violent, very angry about things. It often talks about, he was angry because, well, he didn't say he was angry, but you can tell how it affected his life. He was talking about, how his father wasn't there, in his life, the things, how he felt because his father had passed, not realizing the real reason why he passed, earlier in his life, and then soon to find out why, he passed away. And so, yeah, it was a lot, as far as that is concerned. And so, if you want to add, if you come in and you want to add, or you want to leave a comment about what you thought about, the documentary as well, feel free to chime in. Feel free to chime in on this topic. But it was so much. I'm just talking off the top of my head. He got fired. I think it was in the second episode. he got fired for Uptown. He helped a lot of artists, Mary J. Blige, uh, and in between those two episodes, it talks about the City College incident. He dealt with Heavy D, and how a few people, I believe it was 9 or 10 people that passed, that got killed in that City College incident. But of course, that wasn't his. It wasn't his fault that they had died, but I think they could have did more control over the crowd in order for those, for that to not happen, during that time. But a lot of people, they did, blame them for what happened. They received, lawsuits. They were sued over those deaths that happened. It was a huge crowd, and they were so bombarded, and they was trying to get in there. The doors was locked, and so a lot of people, they like suffocated. They got killed in that incident, or they was unalived in that incident. And they had a few of 1 or 2 people that were family members of those 2 victims that they, really mainly point out, in the documentary. I believe one of them was Sonia, and the other one, I forgot his name. But anyways, they had passed away. They had died in that incident. How you doing, Jake Job? But yeah, they had died in that incident at the City College incident. And so it was a lot of things that happened during that time, during Diddy's ascension to fame. He kind of thought, after a while, of course Biggie died, Tupac died, but appreciate you, Jake Job. But yeah, I'm doing good, Jake Job. But yeah, going into the episode 3, a lot of things happened. He Biggie passed, and then he did the song "I'm Missing You." There was a lot of things behind that song as well. Someone else writing it. Of course, Sting. That sample from that Sting song. I'll be watching you. And so, it was a lot around that. A lot of people still kind of look at Diddy. They got eyes on Diddy about Biggie's death as well. But they didn't really get a lot into the Biggie situation, but it was really more focusing on the personalities of Diddy. And they went into I forgot one part. The East Coast and West Coast situation. Of course, Suge Knight was with Death Row. Diddy with Bad Boy, or Puff Daddy at the time. And so Tupac and some other Death Row crew, they had the Death Row East shirts. And this guy that was a promoter or something, he worked in the clubs, and he got a shirt. And Diddy, Puff Daddy, saw him, and he attacked him. He was driving, and he made him swerve. He made the guy swerve and almost killed him. And they were shooting. I believe Puff Daddy and somebody that was in the car, they attacked the guy with the Death Row East shirt. And so, yeah, those things happen. And so, again, appreciate y'all for being in here. If you saw the documentary, give me some comments. Let me know what you thought about the documentary as well. But it's a lot of events that happened in this documentary. Went on to the 1999 club shooting with Shine. The girl Natanya Rubin. She came out and confessed. Not confessed, but she said, and her story never changed, that Diddy had shot her in that club in the face. In that club. She talked about that. She discussed that, about what happened to her in that club in 1999. I believe it was December 26. As I remember, but yeah, they talked about that. They even interviewed the driver that drove Diddy or Puff Daddy to the club, and how he tried to put it on him. Tried to give him the gun, tried to bribe him, give him money. And you realize throughout this whole documentary that Diddy tried to get away with stuff by bribing people with money, telling them, if I give you $50,000, I give you $30,000. Yeah, it seems it's interesting. It's an eye opener. Kind of make you look at it more seriously. A lot of people around the time, he got arrested and stuff like that. People was making fun of, the baby oil and stuff. And once you watch this documentary, you would kind of take this situation more serious, I feel. A lot of people made fun of, these items that they found in his house. But, when you watch this documentary, all these items and stuff, it starts to fill in the puzzle, excuse me, of what really happened, during those times. He did these certain monstrous events, and so, the shooting situation in 1999, they put it on Shine. They said that Shine shot the individuals, in the club that night, and then, they found him guilty. Cool. But they found him guilty of these certain things. They found him guilty. And so, Shine had a thing against Diddy, and how can you sign an artist to your label and then put him in danger, and also put the blame on him for the shooting? He put it on him for the shooting, and he didn't even do what he did. And so, now recently Shine is coming out about what really happened, about how he felt about, Puff Daddy, Diddy at the time. And you notice that throughout, Puff Daddy Diddy's career, he always changed his name. He changed his name to cover up his past. That's what, we all discovered now, during this time. He called himself Self-Love, during his latest times. And so, it was a lot in this documentary that we probably knew, but we watching in more details. It kind of give us flashbacks of the things we saw in the media about Diddy at the time, but we are seeing it in more details. We're seeing more behind the scene details. They're interviewing people that was there during those different times, which is an eye opener, in these certain situations. And thankful for Cassie coming out, being bold about things. Also Little Rod was in this documentary, telling what happened, when he was working with Diddy on his last album, the last album that Diddy did. He was talking about disturbing things that he had to do while he was working with Diddy during the time. And so it was very interesting documentary. I hope I didn't miss anything. It was so many different events, but I didn't get to all the rest of it yet. But the last episode was very interesting as well. The assistant, he started working with Diddy around 2019. He started working with Diddy in 2019, and it was a lot of he just got worse and worse. Diddy, things that he did, he told him to get in order to have all these these parties, these wild parties, these freak offs. But he said they didn't call it freak offs at the time. So it was a lot that went on during these last few years. Excuse me. these last few years of Diddy's you know, these Diddy's freak offs and stuff like that happened. And yeah, Lil Rod was talking about, him working with Diddy. And a lot of people, like I said, they talk about how Diddy was a certain way when, without the drugs, and then when he was on drugs, he acted a certain way. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the woman. I believe it was episode 4 or 3 or 4, where the lady was talking about how she was essayed by Diddy. It happened to her, and she came out. She came out after Cassie came out about the situation. What happened to her. That was very sorry for what happened to her, as far as Diddy. And so, like I said, karma comes back. D Woods. D Woods was talking about, the show is called Fall of Diddy. So, yeah, D Woods, from Danity Kane, she came in and talked about what happened as well. D Woods talked about what happened as far as when she was on, making the band, Danity Kane, what happened, as far as Aubrey, she was essayed as well. She wasn't essayed, but he tried to, put himself on her, in a forceful manner. And, that's why Aubrey always voiced what happened to her, during those times, because a lot of things happen behind the cameras, as far as Danity Kane, as far as Day 26, the band, a lot of things happen. Heard about, he gave their publishing back, but they didn't hardly get a dime, from the publishing. And so it's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors. But going to the last episode, the assistant that was with him, I believe he said from 2019 to 2021, the assistant, dealt with a lot of stuff. It was his dream, to work with Diddy, during that time, 2019, it's his dream to work with Diddy. A lot of these people, they waited all their lives for this moment to work with their idol, the person that they looked up to. And it turned out that, he wasn't what he appeared on TV. He wasn't what he appeared in public, in the public eye. And, it's just an eye opener, what happened to him. He was ordered to do certain things that he was uncomfortable with, after a moment. He reflected back on the time that really changed his life. And a lot of these people in this documentary, the things that they, dealt with Diddy is something that they'll never forget. It was horrendous moments they will never forget as far as dealing with Diddy. And yes, it's really an eye opener. Check it out. I believe it's on Peacock and Max. And so yes, it's a really good documentary. If these situations is sensitive to you, about domestic violence and stuff like that, I urge you not to watch it. But if you want to watch it, check it out. I think they put it together pretty well. Kind of reminds me of how they put together the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. Kind of similar in a sense, the way they set it up. But yeah, it just seemed like this situation is a little, even though R. Kelly's situation was bad, even though this situation, appreciate you for being in here. Even though this situation was the R. Kelly situation was bad, seems like this situation, with Diddy was worse to me. but both of them, both of the situations is horrible. But yeah, it's just crazy how people gain success and they take advantage of it. But they say when you're a certain way, you have bad habits before you become famous, and then you become famous, those things become worse for you, to break, because you got so much control, you got so much money that you can buy anything, to support your bad habit. And so yeah, so much going on. I hope I didn't miss anything. But there was a lot of events that happened, during this time. The Steve Stout situation. He assaulted Steve Stout over the Nas Hate Me Now video. And just a lot of things he got away with for all these years, and he's finally receiving consequences for what he has done. And so yeah, my prayer is to the victims, that they will soon one day, find, relief from this. I know they're kind of feeling a type of relief right now, because Diddy is locked up. They feel a little relief with freedom, but thankful for Cassie to come out and talk about her situation and, put in the case, to get him, to receive the consequences that he deserved, as far as, abuse. We all saw it in front of our eyes, the things he had done to Cassie. We saw the things he's done, to Cassie, as far as, abuse, domestic abuse. We all saw it in front of our eyes. But it's a great documentary. We saw, and I think kind of his childhood affected how he treated people, especially the ladies that was in his life. We saw how it affected him in the future, the things that he dealt with in his childhood. It talked about Kim Porter. I can't forget about that. They talked about Kim Porter, how people witnessed him abusing her, his anger towards the things that, the control he had over her. I thought they were going to get into Albie Shore and stuff like that, but they didn't really get into that. And so, yeah, it was very interesting, this documentary. Check it out. If you haven't checked it out. But if, like I said, it's a sensitive discussion. And so, again, appreciate y'all for watching this live. If you're watching this later, send a comment. If you want to send a super thanks, I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this review, and so again, appreciate y'all for watching. Like I said, a huge eye opener. Stars that we see in front of our eyes, you never know how they are behind closed doors. After the lights and cameras is off, you never know, how these people are behind closed doors. And so again, appreciate y'all for watching, and until next time, peace.